Well, happy new year and welcome back to another episode of Britt and Nick Do the News. We got through the holidays, thank goodness, because I was tired of drinking since Halloween. What about you, Brittany?
I actually wasn't even drinking too much this holiday, but yeah, definitely felt bloated because even a few beverages and a few dang meals and everything, man, you can get stuffed like a damn turkey.
No, to me, Christmas equals stress and money going out of my wallet. So I'm glad. I'm
Definitely,
glad it's
definitely that.
I'm glad it's finished and we survived, everyone. So we got a new year and new us. And we're starting with dry January. And that's how we're going to reform our new year. But it's not just us trying to call for some reformations. The U.S. Surgeon General is asking for the advisory label on alcoholic beverages to include how alcohol is a cancer risk. Alcohol causes 100,000 new cases of cancer and are responsible for 20,000 deaths annually in the U.S. This is greater than 13,500 alcohol-related driving deaths. The label hasn't been updated since 1988, where it warns about the risk of pregnancy and the risk of getting behind a steering wheel and driving. But yes, alcohol is a third leading preventable cause of cancer, so updating the label to include it would be nice. Other preventable causes of cancer include obesity and tobacco. Currently, it's been studied that alcohol is the leading cause for 7 different types of cancer, breast, liver, and throat being one of them.
Those all sound pretty gnarly, but honestly, they all sound like the types of things we're trying to avoid. And when we're getting healthier in the new year. So New Year's resolutions. And it appears that North Carolina might be on the same trend. They are interested in making a 2025 Sober Operator Act. And well, that is if it gets passed, to move the BAC level, blood alcohol content level, to 0.05 from 0.08. Now, currently, Utah is the only state that sets at a 0.05 BAC level, but North Carolina might be the second one in action. So we'll have to tune in, but it appears to be that a lot of people are pushing to get the level lowered because you know why? Lots of drunk driving accidents, lots of just distracted drivers and all that. So I think they're just trying to get people more aware. So even if you haven't been drinking, don't act like you've been drinking either.
But you know who should stop drinking? Not just us. Zachary Ty Bryan. He is getting trouble once again for domestic violence.
He can't help himself. He cannot help himself. He's the actor, right? From Home Improvement.
Mm-hmm.
From when we were young. Well, yeah, it looks like he needs a little bit of self-improvement. He got 2 DUIs in 2024. So now he has a total of 3 DUIs. And his most recent arrest was as little as 3 months ago. Homie cannot stay out of jail, and he can't keep his hands to himself either. He was caught up choking his baby mama, which is why he got arrested for second-degree domestic violence. And it probably has a lot to do with alcohol in this situation as well. You know, which came first, the chicken or the egg? Was he more violent because he's been drinking, or is he drinking so he becomes more violent? Doesn't matter. Get your stuff together, Zach.
Yeah, Zach, you were a cutie. I mean, I did kind of fall after him when I watched the show Home Improvement, but I think, Jonathan Taylor Thomas, he seems like he wouldn't put his hands on me in that way. So I think, yep, reverting back to the JTT.
Yeah, JTT swept, man. All those guys, Devin Sawa. I mean, just the haircuts, it's so nostalgic. Have you ever seen those memes where they have the picture of the guy with the kind of like bowl cut in the center part? And they say, if your childhood crush had this haircut, you need to start taking aspirin for your knees or something like that. I was like, oops.
That's me. Well, with the new year came a big bang. America is starting things off a little shaky. There's 2 major violent events to kick off the beginning of the year. A Tesla Cybertruck explosion happened outside of the Trump Towers in Las Vegas. U.S. Army Special Forces Master Sergeant Matthew Livelsberger died from self-inflicted gunshot wounds before the Cybertruck was blown up. Livensberger was suffering from PTSD and wrote several letters stating how he wanted to end his suffering and that this was to serve as a wake-up call and not an act of terror. Livensberger used ChatGPT to look into how many explosives he would need and where to buy fireworks. Let's jump over to New Orleans, where AI was also used by Shamsuddin Jabbar. He wore meta glasses during his previous visits to Bourbon Street to scout out how he would plan the attack that killed 14 people and injured countless others. Unlike the incident in Las Vegas, this was an act of terror as Jabbar had declared he had joined ISIS after serving in the U.S. military. Jabbar had planted 2 IUD bombs, which luckily did not detonate correctly. Officials are looking into how they could have prevented a tragedy like this by putting up barricades on Bourbon Street. Now, currently, there's no connection between the two incidences, but both men worked together the same year at Fort Bragg. And during the same time, the individual who tried to assassinate Donald Trump on the golf course, he visited that base in that year 147 times. Is there something going down at Fort Bragg, Brittany? I mean, you're a local. What's going on?
Shoot, honestly, you cannot call it, but what I would say is at least I have 95 separating me and Fort Bragg. Well, I guess Fort Liberty, formerly known as Fort Bragg. One of the things Trump says he'll change when he comes in office is changing it back to Fort Bragg. I can't call it. You know, there's a lot of interesting folks in Fayetteville, and that is not just on Fort Bragg, that's everywhere. But yeah, they need to tighten up security or at least see who's going in and out of there. Don't let anyone go to the PX. Be a little bit more discerning with who you let on property, y'all.
Let's turn it over to the weather. We had a huge winter storm earlier this week that affected 60 million people. They were all under this weather advisory, and I felt it in the state of Maryland.
It's true. That storm went clear from the Midwest to the Mid-Atlantic. It was stretching far and wide. It's usually strictly the northern states, but exactly places in Virginia and Maryland got hit as well. And it was a whole bunch of stuff. It was snow, it was ice, it was freezing rain, and even thunderstorms, which is usually a summer exclusive event. But with these past fall hurricanes, I was not surprised to be seeing all this action in the air. There's 1,300 miles worth of area covered. And like you had said, the millions of people were affected from the plains all the way to the coast. There were 40-mile-per-hour winds, and the snowfall is the most in certain areas that has occurred in years. That was pretty interesting to see last weekend, but guess what? We're in store for it again this weekend. Yeah, agreed. It looks like it's going to be a little bit more southerly. It's coming from Texas all the way through Arkansas, and then shimmy on down to the coast of the Carolinas. It's only a week in between these, but Mother Nature doesn't care. I-40 is expected to be hit, so please be aware when you are making any and all travel plans. Apparently, 200 flights are already canceled at Dallas Love Field, so they are in high preparation for what is to come, especially for areas that aren't usually affected by wintry weather. You know, like I said, ice and snow are expected, and in places, even Memphis, they could receive the largest amount of snowfall that they've seen in almost 40 years. So that is quite significant. We're talking 4 decades. They ain't seen this much snow. So please be cautious. Stay warm, bundle up. Huntsville, Alabama, and Birmingham as well, they have already canceled school for the 9th and the 10th in pure preparation. So even if they don't get much, they don't want to mess around with it because y'all don't understand. People in the South cannot drive in the snow, especially in places where they're not traditionally having it. So please be cautious, stay warm, stay safe, and pray for what is it? The groundhog to not see a shadow, to see a shadow? I don't know. Pray for the one that gets a spring sooner.
Yeah, this winter is going to be rough. It's cold over here on the East Coast, but on the West Coast in LA, they're feeling the heat. There's three fires that continue to burn in LA after a windstorm hit California this week. 130,000 residents were under evacuation orders and five have been reported dead. The three fires continue to burn in the Palisades, Eaton, and Hearst. The Palisades is the worst with 124 square miles torched. Some reports have come out mentioning that there's no water in the hydrants in the Palisade. A big fault of the city. The firefighters are doing the best that they can. Video was recorded by residents as they left of semi trucks that had been blown over on the highway. So these winds are out of control, and that's why the fires are burning so hard. Celebrity homes are up in smoke. We got Billy Crystal, Anna Faris, Anthony Hopkins, and the list goes on and on. Even Steve Guttenberg was out in the streets trying to help with the fire. He was moving cars and reminding us that we're all on the same level playing field when it comes to a national disaster. It does not matter if you're rich, famous, poor. Everybody is dealing with the same crisis. He's asking that people leave abandoned cars with keys so that they can be moved out of the way. And he's in the streets. Love him. There was also footage of a woman who was outside of her 90-year-old parents' home. She was reporting that she came back to kind of scout things out and she just feels bad. Her parents literally had their fire insurance taken away right before this crisis. Had it for years, no problem. And then right before this, gone. So they're just concerned that they're going to lose their house and lose everything since they won't be able to recover. The start of the fire is still unknown, but they're investigating and getting down to the bottom of this.
Yeah, they're going to have to keep researching. I know that a portion of why the fires are so bad is because of the high wind in Southern California. It's just been adding fuel literally to the fire for the LA flames. This is the strongest windstorm in what could be more than a decade. So they have, once again, we've been seeing decades where we haven't had this type of weather activity, and all of a sudden, stuff be going down. These gusts have been reaching anywhere between 80 miles per hour, usually in the more populous areas, to as much as 100 miles per hour on the tips of the mountains, and then, of course, in the reverse in the foothills as well. That's what's causing majority of this to keep spreading is the dryness of the California foliage, not much rain, and then you get a little spark, and then that wind, it takes off. So be cognizant of this stuff. We're going to pray for everyone out there, and we hope everyone recovers as quickly as possible, and hopefully they can put out these flames and get to the bottom of how it originally even started.
All I got to say is that it better not be a Christmas tree that started all this.
Seriously, if you do indeed have a real Christmas tree, they say water it every single day and constantly monitor in the sense of don't leave the freaking lights on for hours and hours on end, several overnights, like you're begging for trouble. Just make sure everything is turned off, properly moisturized, the whole bit. So yes, we're gonna do our best. This is a month of awareness, so we are gonna do our best to be aware of everything, our surroundings, what we do, how we do it, and how we safely do burns.
Earlier this week, before this tragedy on Sunday, we had the Golden Globes. The Brutalist was a big winner. We had Adrian Brody, who won his first Golden Globe as a lead, and as well as Brady Corbett, who won Best Director as well as Best Picture. Emilia Perez had 10 nominations, the most out of any movie. They won Best Musical or Comedy and Best Original Song. Zoe Saldana won Best Supporting Actress, with Selena Gomez getting a nod. Conclave won Best Screenplay. And then we had The Bear, which was last year's big winner. It received most nominations for a TV series, but only Jeremy Allen White walked away with the Best Actor win. Colin Farrell won for his role in The Penguin as Best Actor in a Series, as well as Jodie Foster for True Detective. Demi Moore, it was her big night. She won her first award ever for her role in The Substance. She was referred to as a popcorn actress back in the day, which I think stereotyped her and kind of discouraged her from any thought of winning any of accolade. So congratulations to her. Wicked won for box office achievement. And then we have Hacks, best comedy series with Jean Smart, who also won best comedic actress in a series. The biggest winner, Shogun, also scooped a bunch of wins with best performance of an actor in a drama, supporting actor performance, drama actress, and best TV series for a drama. I recently watched Amelia Perez on Netflix. I thought it was pretty decent. I mean, decent enough. It won the Palme d'Or of Cannes Film Festival. But, I mean, a musical. It was in Spanish, so maybe it was hard for me to follow along and really appreciate the music. But the story itself, I thought, was good without any added tunes. It was about a Mexican cartel boss who wants to transition to living life as a female. Monitas, who becomes Amelia, was played by Carla Sofia Gascon, and then her wife was Selena Gomez. Zoe Zaldana is the attorney that assists Amelia with the transition, with the surgery, as well as situating the family that thinks that Manitas, the drug cartel guy, died. The story, like I said, was good on its own. It didn't need the extra cherry on top of the musical, but the music did add for special lighting, different acting movement, and a different pace, so I appreciated it. A solid movie all around, and everyone, you should catch it. Fun fact, Cinemark is celebrating National Popcorn Day on January 19th. It's the first time ever that you can bring a clean 400-ounce empty bucket for your popcorn to get filled in. It's $5 to get the popcorn, but hey, I'm celebrating getting into the movie theaters without paying once for any snacks. I sneak them things in. But you know what? $5 for popcorn at the concession stand is a steal. So everyone, go out to your local theaters on January 19th.
Woo! Might have to check that out. I do love me some popcorn, and I really love adding the flavors, like those little popcorn dusts. Oh, so good. Any hoodles. I wasn't able to really catch the Golden Globes myself, but I did get some updates off of course, many different websites. And I heard some stuff about Nikki Glazer. She was a hoot and a holler, but she wants to keep that dollar. That's right. So she didn't want to get canceled. She was trying to keep it a little bit more savory. She hosted the Golden Globes and she did a bang up job. She's a 40-year-old comedian, and we happen to love her, but she happened to love herself just as much, so she had to hold back. She was going to go for the gullet, especially when it came concerns to Sean Diddy Combs and Matt Gaetz. Yeah, she said that the show's after party wouldn't be as fun because of one main partier's obvious absence, that being Diddy. He is behind bars, so he wasn't able there to shake it up or file anyone in the area, I suppose. She was kind of joshing around and wanted to take it there, but sort of slowed her roll, which I can't blame her because, yeah, you just don't want to get too delve-dived because, you're stepping on some toes. She was going to go a little bit more hard on Alec Baldwin in regards to the late cinematographer's death, but she kind of deemed that too mean, which I respect. You definitely don't want to go too hard in the paint when it comes to a death. She also had mentioned about Matt Gaetz, the resigned congressman accused of violating Florida's statutory rape law. She kind of was attempting to make some nods towards his look at sex work since Matt Gaetz's payment history. Oof. Well, you know what? If a lot of these guys didn't do so many dirty deeds, it wouldn't be so easy to target them. I mean, shoot, I'm not a comedian and it could just fly out. They're easy. They walk around with targets on their backs. So I respect that she didn't go for it, but I kind of wish she did. And didn't she kind of anyway if she went on ahead and said what she was going to say but didn't say it?
Oh, yeah. She went on the Howard Stern show. I guess the jokes she doesn't say, she banks them for later and calls them the Stern Files. So, yeah, she made sure that she shared the joy of all these jokes that she just couldn't share at the Golden Globes. Nikki is actually the first solo female to host the Golden Globes. So hand clap for that. And one of my personal favorite Jones was she said that this is a room filled with the hardest working actors. And what she meant to point out was that she was referring to the servers, the ones getting the drinks, the ones getting their food. Oh, yes. They're the true actors of the night. So I enjoyed that. And I also enjoyed when she had to mention that Benny Blanco had to rub the magic genie's lamp to get the wish of Selena, which of course he didn't look too happy about that, Joan, but Selena, she knew it was coming. She laughed it off. It was fun. And congratulations to the two. They are now engaged, and she couldn't be more happier.
There's a lot of engagements that actually went down in 2024. And, especially around the holiday season. I know that Tom Holland and Zendaya recently got engaged, and that is quite a ring she has on her finger. That is a 6 carat sparkler. And honestly, I'm very impressed because usually when the carats get high, sometimes so does the gaudy factor. But this gem looks phenomenal. So congrats to her. Nina Dobrev and Shaun White actually got engaged back in late October, but still have to include them because I find them to be such a cute and just pretty much awesome couple. Miley Cyrus and homie Pincus got engaged as well, and I couldn't care less. I looked at that guy and I was like, who is this? Who is this person? I know her first man did her dirty and I get that, but this guy doesn't look very savory to me. Once again, can't judge a book by its cover, but I'm over here, so I'm judging. Also engaged during the holidays is Mr. Beast. Mr. Beast popped the question, and the kind of verbiage joke was he did it for engagement, an engagement for engagement. So kind of funny, kind of probably true. And also, sometimes when things heat up in your personal life, you got to cool them down and temper it out with something that's very, happy, joyful, all the good stuff. So congrats to all the couples. Can't wait to see the future nuptials as well as the future of the marriage, the longevity. We go hang out for all that and see what happens.
Yes, congratulations to all the newly engaged couples. Unfortunately, Aubrey Plaza, who was supposed to present at the Golden Globes, her husband, Jeff Baena, age 47, passed away, and she sat this one out. It happened earlier this week. 10 a.m., his assistant walked in and discovered that he had sadly committed suicide. So our thoughts and prayers go out to Aubrey. She is truly devastated, and I can only imagine during these colder months, depression is on the rise, and, reach out and make sure that you do touch base with friends and kind of give them that light if there's nothing else that you can give.
It's very true. We all have to be very cognizant of how one another is feeling, the mental health, all of that type of stuff, seasonal depression. So please check in. And yes, our deepest condolences go out to Aubrey and Jeff's families. We are very sorry for y'all's loss.
Let's move things a little more politically. On Monday, January 20th, it's Inauguration Day, and Donald Trump will be our next president. What are his moves as soon as he gets into office? Well, there's going to be a exodus of all the illegal Mexicans. That's right. He's definitely scooping them up and shipping them out, and Mexico's getting ready. They're putting up shelters and expecting the flow of individuals coming back over the border. He's also saying that he's going to take back the Panama Canal as well as buy Greenland. He recently sent his son, Donald Trump, over there to scout the land. And honestly, what's he going to do with an ice island, turn it into Epstein's kind of property? I have no idea, but doesn't seem like a total move to make. But I'm not behind the big plan that he has, the plan that's not a plan. He's also making claims that he's going to rename the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America.
Yeah, that seems so pointless to just be like, oh, here, call it this, call it that, or let's buy something that's been under ownership of someone else for several years. It just seems very grabby, and I'm uncertain as to why. But honestly, there's a lot of stuff that guy does that I'm kind of like, what was that for? So
Well, I think when it comes to the Panama Canal, I mean, at one point we did, I think, have ownership of it or at
he
least
did.
control. But I think the concern is over China and them kind of infiltrating the Panama Canal and having some stake in it. So I think, yeah, if that's going to be the case, if somebody else is running that thing, then maybe we do need to take back control. Speaking of control, Trudeau, he's resigning after 9 years of leadership of Canada as prime minister. This comes after months of turmoil and probably after Trump's been running his mouth about that 25% tariff that he's going to enact.
Yeah, he might have to beat feet because he doesn't want to deal with whatever is finna come down the pike for them.
No, probably best. It just hasn't been a good run near the end for him. So good luck. Big news, the passing of Jimmy Carter. He was a former president that died at the age of 100.
That's right. I mean, wow, what a freaking achievement, I suppose, living a whole century. Born October 1st, 1924. One day, well, not one day before me, obviously. I was born in 87, but one day before me. So that's very cool. And yeah, he died in 2024. So he made it a century, and he's the longest lived president in history. And he is the only president or former president, I suppose, that has made it to 100 years of age. So that's pretty cool. He's also considered one of America's favorite, like more favorite presidents. He's got a good following. And even though he was Democrat, he still had a lot of support from both sides. He was the 76th governor in Georgia, of course. That's where he's from, Plains, Georgia. And he was also in the Georgia State Senate. Now, he was technically in office before we were alive, before Nick and Britt were to be, but he served from 1977 to 1981. And on his second day in office, he pardoned all the Vietnam War draft evaders. So kind of interesting stuff, but definitely making moves. I mean, second day in office, he was doing it. He was also very concerned about energy. So he created a national energy policy that included conservation, price control, and new technology. He also was instrumental in bringing Habitat for Humanity to the Charlotte area. He was just very interested in helping people that were kind of downtrodden or up against some big tasks. He was just championing the underdog, willing to listen to anybody. And actually, today is his official funeral. It's down at the National Cathedral in Washington, D.C., and all government employees have off for the day. So that's pretty cool. And it was really awesome. I saw a little bit of it earlier. His grandson, James Carter, was reading out of the Bible, some beautiful passages. And it seemed like everyone was there. I mean, Trump, Obama, Kamala, Biden. So it was quite the crew, but everyone came out to celebrate the life and legacy of our dear former President Jimmy Carter. R.I.P., sir.
Yes, Jimmy Carter. He came from humble beginnings as a peanut farmer, served as a Navy lieutenant, and during his time, he dealt with a hostage crisis in Iran, and also known to giving rebirth of the conservative movement that led to Reagan years. So, gotta love him, Jimmy Carter. Across seas in South Korea, they have an arrest warrant out for the former prime minister that they impeached. Yoon is hiding out at a compound, evading arrest just to answer questions about this whole claiming martial law. He has fans outside of his house preventing authorities from entering and kind of supporting the former prime minister during this whole crisis. It's been kind of a saga from beginning to end. And as we mentioned prior in episodes, this whole claim of martial law, was it right? Did he need to do it? No, but he is dealing with some corruption behind the scenes with his wife, so he had to pull some move to get her out of trouble.
Shoot, he's dragging his butt on getting to jail. But you know what? Who wouldn't genuinely? I just feel sad because I thought South Korea was the safe spot. North Korea was the one with all the bad action, but now it appears South Korea's got some issues of its own as well.
Let's trek over to the Ukraine and Russian war, where apparently history was made. A Ukraine drone downed a Russian helicopter over the Black Sea. And this was the first time that a drone was used to down such a large aerial target. So, I mean, not to give them a hand clap, but quite interesting technology.
Props to the ingenuity and the pervasiveness of the drone bomb. Anything's achieved when you put your mind to it. But yeah, that's kind of crazy. A little drone taking something out so big. But hey, whatever's possible these days. And honestly, I just pray that it all ends sooner than later.
The FBI is alerting everyone about a slew of high-profile burglaries that have happened in this past couple of months, especially in the sports world. Minnesota Timberwolves' Mike Conley Jr. got robbed in September. The Kansas City Chiefs' Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, they got done up in October. Dallas Stars' Tyler Seguin in November, Joe Burrow in December, and recently, Dallas Mavericks star Luka Doncic lost $23,000 worth of jewelry and precious metals. 9 athletes have been targeted in total, but the risk continues, especially if people can find your address online and can tell when you'll be away at games. These individuals have been dressing in hazmat suits, covering their faces, and entering with power drills.
That's kind of wild. I mean, you have $1 million homes and all sorts of stuff, but not enough security. I mean, I would even just hire my cousin, be like, post up at my house. I'm going out of town to play the game, but you're not. Do you mind staying over here and watching my property and call the cops if anyone tries to break in and steal all my stuff? So I don't know how it all goes down, how these criminals are able to achieve such stellar, I guess, hits, but they're able to do it. It's not just athletes that get hit for robberies. It's also, actors and blockbuster stars. About Keanu Reeves, his 3 Rolexes that were stolen a few years ago, they were recovered in Chile. Right, I know, real far away, but they were still recovered. Apparently, one of them was as much as $9,000, and they knew it was his because they're like, well, are you sure it's his? They had his engravings in there. So it said everything about him. It's his. So no mistake there. The only mistake was how you get 3 Rolex watches stolen from you and how it ends up in Santiago, Chile. Very, very confusing. But the Los Angeles PD confirmed in December 2023 that a group of burglars were at large after breaking into Reeves's home in Hollywood Hills. They said that these watches were recently recovered, so that's great. But they also said that one person is in custody, though 4 were on the images in the camera. What gives? Only 1, not all 4? Well, we'll see, because apparently this guy's in custody, but he is unnamed, so we don't have any information in regards to that. But the police do say that apparently these criminals it's part of a local activity gang. So I'm just confused as to how the heck you're part of a local gang, but you're targeting people in LA. So I think it's a little greater than that. I think the Chilean police department is trying to kind of hamper it down a little bit, but I think there might be something a little more in store. But once again, stay tuned. We'll see if there's any more development on these thieving ass people.
Yeah, these Rolexes were supposed to be a gift from Keanu to his 4 stuntmen on the John Wick series. So I'm glad they were able to get them back and I guess get them back to the rightful owners. AI intelligence is being used for the greater good in this case when spotting breast cancer 5 years before it develops. That's right. A deep learning algorithm developed by Duke University can predict cancer from mammograms. It's called a SIM-Murray and focuses on symmetry and compares tissues of both breasts to help detect cancer.
Well, that's great to hear about AI. Finally, artificial intelligence is doing something it should do. Not only is intelligence artificial, so are handbags. Have you guys heard about this viral fake Birkin bag? It's called the working bag, right? Is that a play on words or literally because, working collar people can actually afford it now? It is all the rage on Insta, TikTok, and FB. It's valued at $80, so you're getting a pretty good deal. But the thing is it a good deal? The quality is near as good as any sort of luxury brand. I mean, it's Walmart. Walmart does what it does, but I don't know about luxury. But at the same time, who's going to pay tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars for a handbag? That just seems just very anti-prudent.
Jenner.
Right? Only really like big stars can afford those truly luxury handbags. I mean, those things can cost as much as $400K. I mean, can you drive the purse? Like, that's so insane. Can you live inside the purse? Does the purse produce money or even mints for you? Like nothing. It's absolutely worthless. So it's causing a little bit of controversy. People are kind of viewing these dupes as watering down luxury. It's maybe not the intended original purpose. It's probably just to include everyone, but it can kind of land itself in a gray area. Because according to the European Union and Intellectual Property Office, they see fakes as a significant and growing threat, especially since purses, they are one of the most targeted products used for counterfeiters. So that's another problem too. It could also be potentially viewed as intentional copying. So is it a dupe for a good thing, or is it literally like infringing on people's design?
But I mean, this has been a thing.
True.
With selling dupe purses. This is nothing new. And maybe with Walmart advertising that they're actually doing, that's kind of a little bit different. Normally, people go on the deep dark web or Chinatown, New York to get their dupes, and they're pretty decent copies, but I don't think it's legal. I had a hairstylist that was actually selling very great dupe purses, but when she had a knock on the door from the FBI, she pulled the plug because she wasn't going to jail over this. But yeah, it was a lucrative business until it wasn't.
The problem is with a lot of the dupes, they say, is just a overconsumption. Like, there's a reason not everyone can have the Hermes, and let it be that way. They think just, not everyone needs to have them. So why would you go and create false ones just to make other people feel better? But it's also increasing the fast fashion, the Temu, Shein, all those things. They say they got so much fashion that it's like just over and over and over. And they just can't keep up with it. They're making more than people can buy. So now it's kind of the new movement. Another New Year's resolution is under consumption core, to reuse stuff you already have, repair things you already own that might just need a little TLC. Maybe bring it to a repair shop, do it at the house, whatever's clever. But they're saying stop throwing stuff out and just creating more pollution, more issues for the environment. And just stick with the original bag you have. Why do you need the duplicate? Why do you even need the real thing? Just have the one satchel you've been rocking, and until the handle breaks off and you really don't want to repair it, then get a new one. But I think the idea is just anything that comes in people's faces. The brand new thing on TikTok. The rages and the crazes with the kids. They love the drunk elephant and the Stanley cups.
Oh, yeah, those Stanley cups. Everyone's collecting them like they have enough room in their cupboard. It was a popular gift for Christmas, but there's a huge recall out. That's right. 2.6 million of these buggers need to be pulled off the shelf due to a burn hazard. That's right. Lots of consumers are taking hot loads to the face when the lids have been exploding off of these mugs. Apparently, the plastic lining has been shrinking with the extreme heat and they've been popping off. Be careful. And yeah, Stanley, check your mugs.
Real talk. And not to make light out of a not so light situation, but it'll be a cold day in hell that I'd like to see my mug mess up my mug. So please, please. But I got an old school Stanley, so I think I'm safe. But
I'm a
we'll
Yeti
see.
girl. I fall towards Yeti, so I didn't hear anything bad about them. It was also, yeah, the Stanley Cups talking about the lead on them things.
Yeah, Stanley's had quite a bit of an issue. But I mean, that's another thing. It's that fast fashion, it's that consumerism. Stanley Cups, first it was Yeti, then it was Simple Modern, and then they just move on to something new. So what's the point? Y'all just keep what you got and stick with what you know, and then you won't have to deal with this mess.
Yeah, stick to what you know. And I want to say that to Chick-fil-A. Apparently, they're changing the recipe or how they cook the fries.
Yeah, that's 100% true. They got a new fry recipe. What it is, they claim that they just made the fries crispier because a lot of consumers were complaining about the flat fry, how kind of the idea of shrinkflation plus the fries themselves, once they get a little soggier, they kind of go down a little bit, making it look like the box is underfilled. So Chick-fil-A had an answer for it. They said, hey, we're going to create a new one that's crispier and plumper to kind of still stand up tall and straight. But they say, the customers that is, that it's crispier, but not in a good way. They say that junk is dry, almost freezer burnt flavor. Say, what's going on here? We say, bring back the old Chick-fil-A fries. It's a phenomenon known as Frygate, almost like Watergate. Like there's a whole thing pushing back, pushing forward, redesigning the new formula. The thing is, they thought that they would make it a little better with the pea starch coating. They said that's going to make the French fries stand up straighter and taller and stronger. But this modification could also pose a serious issue for some of the fans who now find that the fries is off limits because even kiddos with peanut allergies also cannot eat peas, which I didn't really know, but it's peanut and then pea. So yeah, so even if they're not using peanut oil to cook them in, they now are adding the pea starch, which also affects peanut allergy people. They got a lot of complaints. They better hop to it and get back to the OG recipe or else. People literally say they're willing to accept the soggy, softer fries at a lesser amount than even the stronger, taller fries. They say no go, no bueno. So exactly. Don't dip a toe into new water if you don't know what you're getting yourself into. But sometimes being a little reckless with the menu can help you out. And that's what Taco Bell is finding. Taco Bell wanted to join the chicken nugget crates. Wendy's got them, Burger King's got them, Mickey D's, of course. Cookout, anywhere you go, they usually have an option for chicken nuggies, except Taco Bell. But they're changing that up right now. They say we're bringing chicken nuggies in. But what's going to be their hook? Like, what's so different about y'all's chicken nugs? They say their difference is crushed up tortilla shells as the mixture that they coat the chicken with. So I personally have not tried it yet, but I've heard not terrible reviews.
Yeah, I mean, shoot, crush up them Doritos Locos taco shells and make them chicken nuggets. That's what I'm saying. That would be a delicious treat. And I think people are using Doritos chips to coat their chicken and fry them up in their air fryers. So I think that is a thing. It might be good. I didn't expect that Taco Bell would try to make French fries, but I freaking love them things.
It's true. I mean, sometimes if you just go out on a limb, it can really end up working and sticking and and be one of your best top sellers. And other times it's stick to what you know. Don't be barking up trees that you can't reach the top of. But I'm definitely going to have to give it a whirl because it sounds really good.
Have to. Yes, Taco Bell. I mean, I thought they were being ambitious trying to bring breakfast to their menu. So they're always trying a new endeavor. And I give them a hand clap. Good job, Taco Bell. You are one of my favorites, even though I can't handle eating you anymore. It hurts.
Oh no. That's always the joke about Taco Bell is it kind of, gets your stomach a bubbling. So
Oh, yes.
just depends on who you are, but Taco Bell is great.
Random story of the week. 2 hikers were found dead after searching for Bigfoot. That's right. Washington State authorities were out looking for 2 individuals around Christmas for 3 days and unfortunately encountered them deceased due to exposure. There was a mention with the story that Bigfoot is a protected creature in Washington State and it's illegal to kill one. So I guess if you want to kill one, you can apparently do so if you hop over to Oregon. But in Washington State, oh no. Keep your hands off Bigfoot. And that brings a big question to my mind. Is Bigfoot even real? I thought this was a mystical creature, but now we have laws protecting the big hairy creature that might not even be real. And I'm worried because with AI, people can make Bigfoot up. This thing could become bigger than it already is.
Who can really say if Sasquatch is real? I just know that so many people have been obsessed with this, I personally believe, fictitious creature. It's sort of like the big push for Nessie, the Loch Ness monster. Like, if that is real or not. I mean, maybe it's just for fun that people just kind of get amped up about that type of stuff. Or maybe it's one of those things where they thought they saw something. It was actually a bear or maybe some sort of mountain lion and they just were confused. I'm uncertain, but I just think it's super hilarious that Washington State felt the need to come up with a law about it. But I suppose that's more just to cover their butts in the sense of, hey, look, if we say that hunting bear during this season's illegal or hunting deer, fishing, or whatever the case may be, if we say it's illegal, we're going to have everything considered. Everything will be under that umbrella. So it be Bigfoot, freaking wolves, whatever the case may be. You just got to cover it all with the law.
You got to cover your tracks, especially you, Bigfoot. You're leading us on. All right, now it's time to wrap up the show. And I mentioned our previous episode that we wrap up kind of with some fun moments from this past year that we reported on, or just some moments from the show in general. Personally, I liked the stories that we came up with and the responses that pretty much you had, Brittany. We talked about how in North Korea, the poop balloons flying over to South Korea, that was a hoot. We talked about the radio tower that disappeared and how you jumped in, obviously saying that it was a bunch of meth heads. Totally hilarious. And then we had the famous solar eclipse that happened this past year, and you weren't having any of it. You were not amused or amazed. You said that they better not run out of shit tickets, and if they do or they don't stop with the chaos, you're booking ass to the moon and bring your little space doggy. I thought that was probably the most hilarious bit of the show.
Yo, those were some good topics and responses. But I mean, genuinely, that's all we do here at Brit and Nick Do the News. Seriously speaking, I personally love the Halloween episode where we did Which Would You Rather? Bobbing for apples, or would you rather go to a haunted house? But there was this one, would you rather do it with a goblin or would you rather do it with an ogre? And I had said goblin/ghoul, but I would like to change my answer. I believe that I would like to switch to your answer and be ogre because I spoke with my husband about it and he said that goblins are creepy and really small and kind of have sharp teeth. And I was like, ew, I prefer the ogre, a little bit more strong, muscular, and yeah, maybe not so cute, but definitely not as creepy. So that was a good time, but also I would like to redact that statement. I also enjoyed the time where we were speaking about the artist that had painted the beautiful photo of King Charles of England. It looked like he was either covered in blood or covered in flames. Either way, it was not the movement. He looked like he was just birthed, but in like a full formal business suit. Very unappealing. God bless him. But yeah, you're going to have to hire somebody different, which I kind of think he expressed at that time.
I also liked the cookie challenge that we did where we lined up a bunch of cookies and you had to pick which one moved to the next round. I was totally blown away with you and your gingerbread molasses, which I mean, they're disgusting. And no one made them for my cookie party. And I mean, I think a lot of people did say they liked them, but yeah, the big winner for my party was the Biscoff cookie. It was delicious. Apparently, that's the cookie of the season. So if you haven't had a Biscoff cookie, please go out and try one.
They are delicious. They are so good. But I also love molasses as well as gingerbread. So maybe I'm not a good barometer.
Yeah, you're not.
Don't benchmark by my choices.
She's got a palette on her. But yes, new year and new us. The one thing I'm going to do is up the production value on Britt and Nick with a better video and hopefully a YouTube channel. So stay tuned to see if I can accomplish that. But a lot of people don't stick to their resolutions, okay? You know, the biggest ones. What do we got? Saving money. That one's the biggest one this year, which I know with inflation, everyone's probably freaking out, and I get it. But what else we got? Losing weight, just quit smoking.
Always quit drinking alcohol or at least significantly reduce. Sometimes people like to learn a new skill, but a lot of people also want to advance in their careers. So that's a big one as well. The only thing is they say 90% of people give this up by the end of January. And it's a very small amount that make it past even the second week of February, leaving only, according to Google, 10% of people that will actually accomplish their goals. So stick with it this year, y'all. 25 and thrive. We can do it. We just got to maintain, stick to these.
Let's not call them resolutions. Maybe let's just say that these are goals and set little ones throughout the year and try to hit them. You know, we're people, we have flaws. This is hard, so we get it. Let's stick with it and make this one of the best years.
Why not? I mean, you'll regret it if you don't go for it. So just go for it. Keep on pressing, keep on keeping on, trucking, whatever the terminology may be. Just keep pushing forward. You got this.
We got this.
We got this.
That's another thing. Maybe one of your resolutions should be tune in to Britt and Nick more, huh?
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Definitely.
That's
Add us to the lineup and please subscribe. Just hit that little button on Spotify and you'll be alerted when each new episode comes up for your listening pleasure.
It's true. Don't you want a little bit of ear candy? I know I do.
Thanks for tuning in and we'll catch you in 2 weeks.
Woohoo. Talk to you then.
Bye-bye.